What's up, everybody? Dog 1985. There's levels to this. Welcome to another episode of the Gamer's Perspective podcast. You see the title, and if you're just listening to this, well, you must have clicked on it, so you still see the title. The PlayStation 5 Pro. I want to talk about the PlayStation 5 Pro in a way that's not console warish, in a way that's not controversial, in a way that's not in a fair way. That's what I'm going to attempt to do tonight as I talk to you guys. I'm just gonna let my thoughts flow. I might look at the chat from time to time. What's up, ISO? I see you in here. But I want to talk about this PlayStation 5 Pro, and hopefully you guys can just listen and just rock with me, okay? I'm talking from the perspective of someone that's looking at this as a consumer as to whether or not I should purchase this with everything that's going on around it right now. So let's talk about the good, the bad, and the uncertainty of the PlayStation 5 Pro. We'll start positive. We'll start with the good. This cannot be denied by anybody right now. The PlayStation 5 Pro is the most powerful console on the market. So if you are a gamer and you want the best console on the market, then the PlayStation 5 Pro is an easy choice for you. That is the best console on the market. The PlayStation 5 Pro, right out of the box, comes with 2 terabytes of storage. That is also a positive. No gimmicks, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. 2 terabytes of storage. That is a huge positive. PlayStation 5 Pro, in my opinion, looks very sleek, looks very nice. I would argue it looks better than the base PS5. Now, the base PS5 Slim to me is another good-looking console as well. I think what makes the PS5 look horrendous is the disk drive. But let's talk about the disk drive. The PlayStation 5 Pro does not come with a disk drive. Whenever options are removed from something, very, very seldom is it a positive. So that would be one negative of the PlayStation 5 Pro that is going to be really hard for somebody to argue and to try to convince you that it's a positive, right? Not coming with a disk drive, and most people would agree with that, okay? The PlayStation 5 Pro not coming with a stand, that's a non-subject. Just being honest with you. You can stand the PlayStation 5 and it's perfectly fine, perfect PlayStation 5 Pro. Or I've been seeing so many unboxings, they comes with clips to lay it on its side if you wish to do that as well. So the PlayStation 5 Pro not having a stand means nothing. It's perfectly fine. The plates not fitting and you having to buy separate plates and plates that you might have had before, that can be viewed as a negative, but in reality, I would say it's a non-factor because that's you just wanted to change it cosmetically. You don't actually have to change the plates. It does nothing for its functionality. Okay? So with the physical attributes, the only real negative that I can say that's pretty hard to argue against would be the disk drive. But the positives are it's a really nice looking console. It's a more powerful console. The storage is a lot more. So in that essence, it's winning. Now let's talk about the ecosystem of the PlayStation 5 Pro. If you are a PlayStation gamer, this is where things get interesting. And again, we're going to talk from the gamer's perspective. Okay? If you are a PlayStation gamer that already has a digital library, then the PlayStation 5 Pro is perfect for you. There's no problems. But if and this is a big if, I don't know how many gamers out there are like this, but if you have physical PlayStation games, now the PlayStation 5 Pro puts you in a conundrum because now it forces you to buy the disc drive unless you're going to rebuy those games digitally. See, what PlayStation is doing is very smart with the PlayStation 5 Pro. The people that are buying the PlayStation 5 Pro, if you don't buy a disc drive, essentially what they're doing is they're making you go all digital, which then really locks you into their ecosystem, because once you build that digital library, it's kind of hard to move away and start a digital library somewhere else. And that's really smart for the PlayStation. It's really smart for PlayStation. For you as a gamer, you have to look at it like, is this a convenience that you want to have, or is this going to be an annoyance? Do you see yourself possibly jumping ship in the future, or are you stuck with PlayStation, or are you okay being locked in with PlayStation? And I gotta be honest with you, and I gotta be fair with you. I know a lot of PlayStation fans that are perfectly fine sticking with PlayStation, regardless of the of anything that's going on with Sony, the remakes, the remasters, constantly. Um, I mean, we don't even know what first party games are coming out, anything like that. But in reality, if you're a gamer and you're gaming on the PlayStation 5, again, I'm trying to be honest here. This is what this podcast is about. You got games to play on your PlayStation 5. You do. You do. You definitely do. Okay? The only thing you don't have is a subscription service as valuable as Game Pass, but we can argue that PlayStation Plus Extra, especially Extra, I would say, definitely has value. Definitely. There's still a plethora of games in there that you can play. And again, if you got the PlayStation 5 Pro, you're going to be able to download these games and possibly play them enhanced. Now, let's go into that part of this as I think about the PlayStation 5 Pro. Enhanced games. The biggest issue that I see, and it's a good issue, so before you guys get upset, this is a good issue. The biggest issue that I see is that the base PS5 is a monster. The things that Insomniac has been able to do with the base PS5 puts other developers to shame. The things that Gorilla has been able to do with the base PS5 can put other developers to shame in terms of graphics and the way the games run. What Santa Monica Studio has been able to do with the base PS5, I'm being 100% honest, puts a lot of other games to shame. Now, whether you like those games or you find those games enjoyable, like the Spider-Mans, the God of Wars, the Horizons Forbidden West, whether you like those games or not, when you look at those games, oh yeah, they're definitely beautiful to look at, and they definitely run great. And when I say run great, I mean they have multiple modes that run great and still look great. And that to me is probably the biggest hurdle that the PS5 Pro has to get over. Because if you have a base PS5, before the PlayStation 5 Pro was announced, I know you were satisfied. I know you were. The complaints about PlayStation this generation has never been about the hardware. I'll repeat that again. The complaint about the PlayStation this generation has never been about the hardware. Every once in a while, you saw some people posting things that their PlayStation would turn off while they were playing something like overheat or whatever, right? But that wasn't a commonplace. And it actually happened to my son's PS5. I actually turned off a few times. We had to put it on its side, and then we had to clean it. And there's also a a possible issue with the liquid cooling or whatever it was, right? Not the liquid cooling. Oh my goodness, look at me over here talking PC. You know what I'm talking about. The thing that cooled the CPU, liquid metal. There you go, leaking the liquid metal leaking, right? But none of that, to my knowledge, has been substantiated. Most people have had a great time with their PS5, played it over and over again, and it hasn't been a real issue. So before the PlayStation 5 Pro was announced, many PlayStation fans and many PlayStation content creators were more than satisfied with what the PlayStation 5 was doing. You know I'm right. Do not gaslight me, please. I don't like it. They've been more than satisfied. So now that the PlayStation 5 Pro comes out, it's almost as if, and I know my Xbox brethren are not going to be happy when I say this, I feel, my opinion of course, but I feel like Xbox should have been the one that had a mid-gen refresh. Either that or make these developers use the power of the Xbox Series X if it does have that power. But in my opinion, Sony has been able to get developers to use the PS5. Maybe that thing that Mark Cerny said, that they went to the developers and found out what they wanted to work with, how it was going to make it easier for them to work. Maybe that was true. Or maybe it's just a simple fact that they're the leading platform and developers know that there's more PlayStation 5s out in the wild and they want to make sure that their games look better on the system that more likely are going to be sitting in an entertainment center. Which is also smart on the developer's part. I can't be mad, right? Huh. That's the hurdle that the PlayStation 5 Pro has, is that it has to, if it wants to, right? I don't know exactly what the goal is for Sony with this console. But for us as gamers, if you're satisfied with your PlayStation based PS5, what is the reason for you to go to a PlayStation 5 Pro? More storage? No. Sony already fixed that. You can go ahead and buy an SSD as long as you know how to use a screwdriver and use that on your PlayStation 5, the base PlayStation 5, and it'll be cheaper than buying a Pro. So if you want a 2 terabyte, you can. You can do it. So it won't be storage. What is it? You want to buy your games all digitally? Well, guess what? You could do that too. What is it? You want to play your games at 120? Which games? Because most of the games that Sony has out already, you're going to be able to play at 120 frames. Oh, you want to play them at 60? You could do that too. Oh, you want to play them with ray tracing? You can do that too. The PlayStation 5 Pro, to someone that has a base PS5, is giving you a better gaming experience, but how much better is going to be subjective. I'm actually happy though that this product exists. And now that I started gaming on PC, I understand what upscaling and all that stuff is. I'm going to tell you right now, if PlayStation does this right, this machine is going to be phenomenal. The only reason I haven't gone out and bought one myself is simply because I don't use my base PlayStation 5 that much as it is, and when I do use it, this is a big key, I am 100% satisfied. The reason I went to a PC for my Xbox Series X is because my Xbox Series X kept disappointing me. To me, it doesn't matter if that was the fault of the hardware or the fault of the developer. Again, I'm just a gamer. When I turned on my Xbox Series X and I saw games coming out at 30 that were Xbox Studio driven games, meaning they themselves weren't using the full power of the box, I had to believe either they didn't care or they didn't know how to use it, or maybe it wasn't as powerful as I thought it was going to be. And as a gamer, I prioritize frames over fidelity. Mark Cerny came out and mentioned how most people most people prefer to play in performance mode anyways. So what Mark Cerny admitted is that even most PlayStation gamers also chose frames over fidelity. And good on Sony saying we're going to make it so that the choice for you doesn't have to be that difficult. But again, here is the problem that the PlayStation 5 Pro has. The PS5 realistically did not make that choice difficult. Guys, I'm being honest. You see an Xbox logo on the screen, but I'm giving PlayStation its flowers. Gotta give me props for that. It wasn't difficult to play on a PlayStation 5 and choose between fidelity and performance when the performance mode looked great. So far, I've seen gamers only complain about 2 games that didn't look good in performance mode. Was it Rebirth, Final Fantasy, and some a Star Wars game, right? That doesn't look good in performance mode. But Ratchet and Clank, phenomenal in performance mode. Spider-Man, phenomenal in performance mode. God of War, phenomenal in performance mode. Gran Turismo, I haven't played that one yet, but from what I've seen, phenomenal in performance mode. Horizon Forbidden West, phenomenal in performance mode. There is, guys, girls, children, everything in between. The PlayStation 5's Pro biggest threat is the base PlayStation. I made a video talking about whether or not it's worth it. I was being facetious, of course, if you watched that video. But I want to be honest and as truthful as I can be in this podcast. You really have to decide if this thing is worth it for you. I haven't bought it yet because to me, whenever I do turn on my PS5, I've been satisfied. That's the number one reason. However, I've been saying it over and over again. If Sony figures out a way to get GTA 6 to run at 60 frames, I don't care if it's 1080p 60. If they get GTA 6 to run at 60 frames and the PS5 Pro is the only console that can do it, guys, I'm there. I'm telling you right now. The other way that I get a PS5 Pro is if one of my kids asks for it for like Christmas or something and they really want one. But they would have to convince me as to why. We have 2 PS5s in the house. So what? Again, when one of the PS5 is connected to a 1080p monitor. You know what I mean? So you're just playing for high frames. My son plays Apex Legends on it. Loves it. Low millisecond response time, right? That's where he plays most of his PS5. And then the other PS5 is connected to the main TV, which the Xbox and the PC are connected to. But guys, I'm being honest with you here. The base PS5 is the main reason why I don't see myself pulling the trigger on a PlayStation 5 Pro. Second reason I don't see myself pulling the trigger on the PlayStation 5 Pro is because now I have dabbled into the PC realm and I would never be as foolish as to compare price for price a PC to a PlayStation 5 Pro. Like the PlayStation 5 Pro, again, this is my opinion. From what I've seen, PlayStation 5 Pro at $700 is gonna dog walk PCs at $700. But I may be wrong. I may be wrong. And by all means, there's plenty of challenges out there that are trying to do it. But I just don't see it, man. I think if you want to compete with the PlayStation 5 Pro, if you want to compete with the base PS5, you got to get a decent PC, in my opinion. Just my opinion. I don't even know why you would put yourself in that predicament. I took the bullet for you guys. I went ahead and went to Walmart and bought a cheap gaming PC. But even that cheap, I'm using quotation mark, gaming PC cost me $900. And then I already upgraded and got myself 2 sticks of DDR5, 16 gigs each. So I got 32 gigabytes of RAM, dual channel, DDR5. Yes, I know everybody was surprised and they were like, "What? You got a Walmart PC that has a motherboard that supports DDR5?" Yes, I know, crazy, right? So my PC is already just with that about $1,000. If I was to spend $700 on something, I feel like it would be better spent on upgrading my PC. The GPU that I have, which is a RX 7600, is only like $250. So, so for $700, man, I probably could buy a GPU that's $500 and maybe I would have to buy a better power supply for probably another $200 or something. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. But that's what I would do. I wouldn't spend the money on another PS5 or PS5 Pro again when I'm already satisfied with the base PS5. I want to make sure I stay neutral on this subject. If you want the best of the best and you can afford the best of the best, PlayStation 5 Pro is the way to go. And if you can afford the best of the best, then Game Pass shouldn't even matter to you because you could buy your games a la carte. And you don't have to worry about Xbox. Xbox is going to put all their games on PlayStation eventually. You are still missing some pretty big titles, like you're missing Starfield, you're missing Halo, you're missing Gears, like on PlayStation 5. And I'm telling you right now, you can knock them down all you want. These are still tremendous titles. I promise you they are. Right? I promise you they are. But eventually, I believe most of these will come. I think if Xbox drops something like the Master Chief Collection on PlayStation, I think it would sell tremendously. I know it would. I know it would. But as far as this hardware goes, the number one reason is the base PS5 has kept me satisfied whenever I do use it. The number two reason is if I'm going to spend money, I'm going to spend it to upgrade my PC. That's what I'll spend it on. Okay? And the third reason why I haven't upgraded, which is probably the one that most people are not going to like, is because as of right now, from what I am seeing other people's experience, I'm not convinced that it's that big of a difference. I'm not convinced that it's that big of a difference. And I appreciate all the content creators out there that already have a PlayStation 5 Pro that have been able to come out and said like, man, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. You'll be able to tell the difference in maybe this game or that game, but you're not going to be able to tell the difference. Because then it makes it look like those other ones that are like, oh my god, it's way better, this is and that. Now you're looking at it like, okay, wait a minute. Maybe again, maybe they are right. Maybe it is way better and they see a huge difference and it's tremendous to them compared to what they gamed on the PlayStation on the base PlayStation 5. Maybe it was amazing. PlayStation 5, maybe. But do you think you would see the difference when we have other people saying, hey man, it's not that big of a difference? And it's not like it's just, PlayStation haters. Like, no, these are actual PlayStation people that like PlayStation that are telling us, like, hey, look, the games already look good on the base PS5. And that's where I'm coming from. Giving Sony its props. Comparing the PlayStation 5 Pro to an Xbox is a moot point when you can argue the base PlayStation 5 was better than the Xboxes. when it came to performance and all that other stuff. The only game I'm gonna tell you this is what I'm gonna tell you, right? The only game that I would put up visually to compare against PlayStation titles on the Xbox side would be Forza Horizon 5. That game looks yeah, that game is crazy. That game looks phenomenal, right? And it's a racing game, okay? Um I would put certain, and this is a huge caveat, certain parts of Starfield, right? So even then, right? Because if you go through the Atlantic City or whatever the main city's called, and Jameson, whatever, and you're looking at the NPCs, the Starfield doesn't look that great. But when you're on planets and on space and stuff like that, then yeah, it looks phenomenal, right? And we just talk about visuals now. The other game would be Hellblade 2, right? Visually looks phenomenal, right? But on the PlayStation side, I can't think of an ugly PlayStation first party game that's dropped. And the icing on top is that I can't think of a first party PlayStation that game that was beautiful and was stuck at 30. I can't think of one. And out of those three games that I just mentioned, two of them dropped at 30. Starfield, right? And Hellblade. And one of them is still stuck at 30, and that's Hellblade 2. Starfield finally got the patch for the 60. Guys, there's levels to this, and whether you like the games or you enjoy the game, the technical aspect of Sony PlayStation games, the technical aspects are on another level. And when people say those are PlayStation 4 games, thinking that it's a flex, it's not. Because then what you're saying is that Sony hasn't even made games exclusively with the power of the PS5 in mind, and they still have games that look and run better than Xbox games. I'm being as fair as I could possibly be, regardless of how anybody feels about this. I've been ranting for a while now, so I'm going to go ahead and conclude this. But this is what I'm going to tell you. The PlayStation 5 Pro, if you want it and you got it like that, go get it. It's not going to be a worse experience. The only thing worse about the PlayStation 5 Pro is if you have a huge physical library. Then you're going to spend a little bit more to be able to use that physical library. These are just facts. And I would say you're better off. You are definitely better off buying the disc drive for $80 than to rebuy all those games digitally. If you have a lot of physical games, I would that to me makes common sense. Like, why would you rebuy all those games digitally? No, buy the disc drive, right? Find a disc drive. Hopefully you can, and yeah, and buy it, and then you can play all your games. That's the only downside to the PlayStation 5 Pro. Well, one downside, and the second downside is the price. But again, if you don't have it, then you shouldn't even be looking at it. Okay. So PlayStation 5 Pro, you pick it up if you really want it. I don't think people right now that have picked it up, like the early adopters, I don't think any of them are disappointed yet. I don't think so. I think the disappointment may come if nothing. It depends what the future games look like. If the future games continue to look like just a marginal difference, then maybe though people will get disappointed. But if not, I don't know. They are gonna enhance a whole bunch of games already, like all the sports titles. I think I saw Black Ops 6 is gonna be enhanced. What does that mean? I have no idea. Black Ops 6 already runs phenomenal on all of these consoles. And a bump up in resolution, I mean, sure you can tell, I guess, but how big of a difference is again? It just depends what you guys want, guys. Besides the disk drive and the price, overall the PlayStation 5 Pro is a net positive. I will say that it'll be a net positive. The question is for you as a gamer, is it a net positive that you need? Is it a net positive that's worth it to you? I have some physical games. My son likes physical games, so if we got a PlayStation 5 Pro, it wouldn't be a $700 system for us. I wouldn't get the stand, and I wouldn't even complain about the stand. But it wouldn't be a $700 system for us. It wouldn't. It would be whatever how much the disk drive is, which I think is like $80 or something. So it would be closer to an $800 system. And no, I'm not gonna say that at $800, if my son wanted a PlayStation 5 Pro, that I would convince him just buy a PC for $800. No, 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 no. I would not. I would not convince him to do that. If I buy my son a PC, it's gonna be probably around $1,200, $1,300 range if I wanted to go on the lower end of what I would spend for a PC. Because now that I game on PC, I see what PCs can do, and even my low budget PC to me is amazing. Like it is phenomenal. Like somebody was talking to me about how I even made a video about it. How playing Dead Space would be better on the Xbox versus a PC. Well, I showed how I was playing Dead Space on both the Xbox Series X and the PC was running it great at higher frames. But what they don't understand is that even if I wanted even higher frames, I could even do that and just turn off a few more things here and there. It's just the freedom of PC, it hits different. It just does. And as an Xbox gamer, I mean, it's a lot easier to transition. That would be the difficult thing for my son, right? Is that my son is a PlayStation gamer. So for him, the PlayStation 5 Pro keeps him in the ecosystem, but again, he likes physical copies, so the disc drive is what he would need. I need you guys to let me know, from what you guys see, when it comes to the PlayStation 5 Pro, is it worth it to you? I've seen a lot of positive. I have. I've seen a lot of people satisfied. I don't think I've seen anybody that's not satisfied with the purchase, but I have seen a few people um underwhelmed. Shout out to Solid Rev. He put up a post saying like, "Hey, I can't tell the difference." And I mean that's respectable, man. We're not all digital foundries zooming in to see the difference. But here's the thing, right? It's not a it's not. I don't want you guys to look at it as a negative towards the PS5 Pro when people say they can't see a difference. You should look at it as a positive for the PS5. That's how amazing that console is. That the PlayStation 5 Pro it's got a it's got a tall hill to climb to separate itself from the base PS5, and that's good. That's good. That's if there's anything that's taught us this generation, that's what we want. We want if you're gonna make a console that's stronger than another console, don't make it to the point where the weaker console is hindering the experience of the console. Hence, parity clause Xbox Series S and X. Oh, that could be a whole nother podcast. We're gonna end it there. Verdict: PlayStation 5 Pro. Even though I don't have one, I don't see anything wrong with it really. You want to pay for it? Pay for it, man. Go ahead. Enjoy the best console gaming possible. I'm not mad at you. PC gamers shouldn't be jealous about at you, which I don't think many are. Um, and then Xbox gamers aren't even worried about the PlayStation 5 Pro. I'm telling you right now, they're not, because they're looking at what game are you gonna play on that thing anyways. That's what they're looking at. To all the base PS5 owners that are still holding off and looking at this thing, yeah, we can still look. We can still hold off. The price of this thing will eventually go down sometime, right? And maybe then it'll be time to pull the trigger. Maybe once they announce that GTA 6 is gonna run at 60, I'm telling you, man, I got my fingers crossed, man. I'm hoping Sony can figure it out. Maybe by then they'll have PSSR 2 or something. I don't know. And then we'll be able to play GTA 6 at 60. Doc Dog 1985. There's levels to this. Thank you for rocking out with me, guys. We out. Peace.